guys. Welcome. Okay, guys, so let me be honest. We're sitting here improvising. Everything is down. I don't even know how I'm even able to even come up. I think because my iPad is here, but luckily enough, the show must go on. So I apologize for my tardiness. I've been trying to get on for like the past 15 minutes to no luck. Okay, so tonight's guest is Vladimir Donis, guys. We're going to be talking about startup businesses, the mistakes that you guys make, and honestly, um, my goal in having this platform is to make sure that you guys don't make the same mistakes twice. Well, the mistakes that I've made and fellow successful entrepreneurs have made. So what a perfect time to have Vladimir. He was supposed to come on the show, guys, about maybe 3 weeks ago or almost a month ago, like right before my vacation in tax season. But we had to reschedule. So tonight is perfect timing because we're going right into the second half of 2021, and many of you are starting up your businesses. This is like your first 60 days, first year, first 6 months, and you just don't know what to do. So tonight's guest, we're going to talk about all of the mistakes and pitfalls and things like that, and give you guys some gems so you can better run your businesses and possibly really grow your business and bounce back from all of the mistakes that you've probably made thus far, or prevent the mistakes that you will make in the future. So guys, let me take a quick little break. Hopefully I can get adjusted in between the break. But do me one favor, you guys want to grab your pen, grab your paper, and share this video. If you're watching us on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or anywhere, share the video. If you're watching us on Rip Radio Network as well, share the video. And don't forget, after tonight's show, you're able to watch and listen to the program on all platforms where podcasts are being housed. So what we're going to do, we're going to take a quick little break, guys, and I'll be right back. bit.ly/TMZ all caps, get notified, and look out for what we have coming out in store and all of our guests coming on the show, guys. Tonight was amazing. I hope that you guys learned a lot, and I'll see you guys Hey guys, welcome to the Money Zone, guys. I have to be honest, and Vladimir, I have to apologize. I cannot even get to your bio or anything. So Trump, if you can welcome on Vladimir so he can come on and introduce himself to the audience, guys. Let me be honest with you. This is a pure example of entrepreneurship and not giving up. Every device of mine, I can't even access any of my Zoho docs. Nothing. I started to panic, whipped out the iPad, figured it out, adjusted the size of my table, and we are now live. So, Vladimir, I owe you a big apology. So if you can help me introduce yourself to the audience so we can get right into saving these small businesses.
Certainly. Well, I want to start off by saying, thank you for allowing me and having me a part of your show. I'm definitely looking forward to it. And just a high level introduction. As mentioned, my name is Vladimir Donis. I reside here in Boynton Beach, Florida, and I am a micro commitment strategist, which means that I help my clients to obtain small commitments from the people who are right for them. And I believe that a small commitment leads to a bigger commitment. And I do that through marketing processes, and I do that through marketing funnels. So that's a little bit about me, and I'm sure you'll be able to hear a little bit more about me as we continue on the show.
Okay, and I'm excited because you said a few key words that actually is the primary reason why so many small businesses fail. Number one is marketing, and two, the systems to be able to scale and grow their businesses so they can meet, certain financial thresholds and break even and meet certain financial personal goals as well. So I am just so excited to really have you on the show, especially during this time of the year where so many small businesses either they're cracking right now or they are hitting it up in high gear. So since we're going right into second quarter, Vladimir, can you just give us maybe 3 examples of some of the common mistakes that you've seen small businesses make?
Yeah, certainly. Certainly. I'll start off with myself because, that's where it started, right? It started with me launching my first business back in 2015. It was a dating/a dancing type of a website. And the reason why I went into that business is because from the outside looking in, it appeared as though the dating sites were a very profitable, model. And it appears as though that was going to be a good business for me. However, the thing that I didn't have in place is I didn't have a monetization plan. Well, I did have a monetization plan, but it was a faulted monetization plan, meaning that I was going to wait until I get thousands and thousands of members before I start the monetization process. Well, for a self-funded business like myself and or other self-funded businesses, you don't want to wait so long to have a monetization plan. You want to have a monetization plan from the very start. So if you're spending money on, say, advertising, by the time the person goes through your entire marketing process, what is the monetization plan? How can you recoup on the advertising spend, and how can you make money based on that process? So one of the first things that I want individuals to keep in mind is you want to make sure that you have a monetization plan. Don't be like me or other individuals that just say, hey, I'm just going to, advertise. I'm going to kind of just see who's interested, and maybe later down the line, I'll go ahead and monetize. If you're not necessarily monetized, you really don't have a business. You essentially have a hobby. So you want to make sure you start off with a monetization plan from the very start.
You know what, Vladimir? It's so funny that you start off with that, because I call it not the monetization plan, but a profit plan. A plan on how to continuously generate and make money throughout the beginning, mid, and then the lifespan of your overall business. And I totally agree with you. That never comes up when people are like, oh, I'm trying to start a business. I know you probably get the same thing. Oh, I have this passion, or I've always enjoyed doing this, and I think I can make money, but I'm not sure. Okay, so now, guys, Vladimir just said that's one of the biggest mistakes that you guys can make is to go out there without a monetization plan. So that's number one. So what's number two, Vladimir?
So basically a monetization plan. So step number two is you want to make sure that you have a sales process, specifically a sales process that doesn't necessarily depend on your family and friends. I believe that family and friends are amazing, and they can definitely do some of the early legwork for us by way of promoting and advertising our business and making sure that we get our names out there. However, from a long-term standpoint, that is not something that is sustainable. And the reason why that's not something that is sustainable is because there's only so many friends and family that you have. So because you only have a certain number of friends and family, you have to be able to look beyond that. You have to be able to answer the question of how can I go out and implement a marketing slash a sales process and get people who are not friends and people who are not family members to buy and to purchase from me. Because when you can do that, then you are in a position where you can go ahead and scale. So that's the second thing, is you want to be able to have a marketing slash a sales process that goes beyond having to rely on friends and on family members.
Mm. I like that. And so look, so number two, guys, look, and well, Vladimir, that goes with my concern about MLMs, because I know I had joined the MLM years and years and years ago to try it out. And the first thing they say was write down all of your friends and all of your family members. And I'm like, okay, now how is these people going to buy from me? So I'm so glad that you're mentioning that, because I know you've probably seen the Facebook post where people are like, I'm about to close down my business because my family isn't supporting me, or I don't have the support that I need from my spouse or my family. And guys, we're basically saying you shouldn't even have went into business with the intentions of selling to your family and your friends. So number one, guys, is your monetization plan. And then number two, being able to sell beyond the core people. Well, having a sales plan, but a sales plan beyond your core immediate individuals that you know of. Okay, I'm with Vladimir. What's number three now?
Number three is essentially just long-term thinking and follow-up. Because essentially, sometimes as you go through the marketing process, so let's just say you're going through the marketing process today, and the first step in the marketing process is for you to generate leads, meaning that there's people that's going to come to you that's going to express interest in your service. I may create a marketing ad today, and I may attract people because I'm giving them something away for free in exchange for their email address, with the goal of them doing business with me. So if I generate the lead, today, let's just say today is June 1st, they may not necessarily be ready to become a client that very same day and or that very same week. So for that reason, I need to know that I have to have a more of a long-term thinking, meaning that maybe that person might be in a position to become a client in the next 30 days, in the next 45 days. And in addition to that, I need to make sure that I have a strategy to stay top of mind and a strategy from a follow-up standpoint. I learned the value of follow-up when I was working for a university. So a couple of years ago, I was working for a small university in my local area, and I was an executive for that university. When I first started working for that university, we were a for-profit university, and at some point, we became what we call a not-for-profit university. As a for-profit university, the university had limited availability from a free funding standpoint, which means that they can only pass on so much money down to their students. But at some point, the university became what we call a not-for-profit university. And when it became a not-for-profit university, the state started to fund them a lot more money from a free funding, from a free money standpoint. And when that happened, that became a win-win type of a situation for the students. And when that did take place, one of the things that we were advised of, and one of the main stipulations from the state, is that we were required to use 100% of the money. The state said, hey, I'm going to grant you this money. And the main stipulation is you need to use 100% of it. Otherwise, next year, when it's time for renewal, we won't grant you the same amount of money. And I remember creating a process to reach out to the students at the time to say, hey, students, you are eligible for this free money. Come down to the financial aid office. All you have to do is come down, sign a piece of paper. And in some cases, you'll receive thousands of dollars. And as I was going through that process, it took us, me and my team, in some cases, 7 or 8 different tries to get someone to say yes to giving them money away for free. So as I was doing that, and when I transitioned into business, I learned a very valuable lesson. And that is, if you just market to just your leads and or your prospects just one time without any type of a follow-up, then you're definitely not playing a long-term game. So in every step of my marketing process, I usually have what we call a contingency plan, and I usually have some type of a follow-up process, because I know it's stated that sometimes people need to see you, hear you multiple times before they decide to take the next step with you.
That's really good. And you know what? I want to give all of our startups the benefit of the doubt, but from my personal experience, one of the challenges that I found is to even get them to come up with basic plans. So from your end, being the technical one that will kind of guide them through creating their monetization plans and guide them through, creating their long-term thinking plans and pulling it all together. What would be an easy way for us to take the hard part out of this for them to at least get started with the planning part of really building their business for long term?
Yeah, so building their business, in order for them to build their business long term, they just have to be able to. One of the things that I do when I think about my business as a service, or when I think about other service-based business owners, is that a lot of times people decide to not do business with us because they have some common objections. And those objections could be so many different things, right? So one of the objections may be that, hey, you know what? I don't necessarily want to be on video, so I don't want to create video content. I don't know how to create a marketing funnel, so I'm not going to do it. One of my objections before I was introduced to the marketing and or the lead generation world is that I didn't necessarily want to use a marketing funnel because I was paying, I paid $30,000 for my first site. So I was thinking in my mind that it's going to take me $10,000 or $20,000 to build a marketing funnel.
Mm-hmm.
So I say all of this to say that your prospective clients, the people who may desire to do business with you, they have all of these questions and they have all of these objections. And if you can think about what those objections are ahead of time, and you can create content and allow that content to be able to answer what those objections are, then they're going to probably be a lot more willing to be able to take the next step with you. Right now, I'm doing a 30-day video challenge, and in every single day, in every single video, I'm creating that piece of content because I know these are questions and or objections the individuals who are introduced to me and come to my world will have. Well, if I generate a lead and I send these pieces of content to these individuals on a very consistent basis, and I answer the questions and I overcome some of those objections, then I found that people are just that much more willing and able to take the next step with you because you just solve and or answer the question that is on their mind.
So basically, guys, he's saying that if you are having a challenge and a hard time and really kind of sitting down, because I know many of you are, working in the business and you haven't found that solid balance with working on the business, then you can just start by just writing down all of your common objections. And then honestly, Vladimir, when you said that and you were talking about the video content, I was thinking about the systems content, because now they can create their FAQs. They can create their knowledge base from that and start building out their processes. So just by you directing them to start with their objections, that can lead on to also being able to develop the processes and systems that they may need as well. So guys, that is just a no-brainer way to kind of get things started when you're like stuck and don't know where to turn. Okay, Vladimir, we're kind of getting right into the swing of things. So I'm just curious, what was one of the worst experiences you've had with a startup? Like, did they refuse to create systems, processes? They completely had to shut down their business and start all over. What was one of the worst or trying cases that you've experienced in your field?
Yeah, certainly. So I would say, for me, I was about maybe about 60 or $70,000 into a business, and my first business I launched in 2015. It was a dating slash a dancing type of a website. I had that business for about 2 years, and essentially, I didn't monetize. So from a monetization standpoint, I didn't make anything. And to make matters worse, when I was starting to pick up some momentum, at some point I started to learn how to do lead generation. I started to learn how to do marketing. And when I started to learn that, the site itself started to pick up and things started to move just a little bit more. But unfortunately, I learned that I was in violation of copywriting laws. And the reason why I was in violation of copywriting laws is because the members of that platform had the ability to upload music and had the ability to upload dance. The site was about dating and dancing. And because I don't have the access and I don't have the right to any of that content, and to avoid legal ramifications, I had to shut down the entire site. And that
Wow.
was not a happy thing for me, because I had poured, 2 years, a little bit more, right? About 3 years of time, money, effort, and resource into this project. This was going to be the thing that was going to allow me to make my full transition, and to learn that I had to shut down the entire business was not a good thing for me. So I would say that was one of the most trying times for me from an entrepreneurship journey standpoint.
Oh wow, Vladimir, I can imagine. So basically, did you skip the attorney step that most small businesses try to avoid? Because they skip me. They right away flat out skip me, register the wrong business, structure it wrong, owe taxes, crazy. So in your case, did you skip consulting with an attorney prior to trying to execute on your idea?
No, precisely, right? So sometimes we go into situations, right, with a know-it-all, mentality. I was pretty successful as an executive, and while I was pretty successful as an executive, I didn't necessarily have any business acumen, so I didn't necessarily know how to run businesses. I didn't know how to run businesses, but you go into it sometimes with a mindset that I got this all figured out. How hard can this be? There's so many other people that's doing it. Yeah, those people are doing it. I can do it as well, and I believe in that. But I also believe in proper advice, right? And counsel, because if you don't necessarily seek proper advice and or the proper counsel, you could end up, wasting a lot of time, money, and resources. So it was one of those, hey, you know what? I know it all. What's the worst that could happen? I'll figure it out type of thing.
Mm. You know what, guys? And he bounced back, but I'm going to be honest with you. That might be because he had probably other skills that he could execute on. But many of you, this might be your baby. And so skipping that step of consulting with an attorney, I think what, a $300 fee out, maybe $1,500 would have saved you 70 odd thousand plus 2 years, right? Uh,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
say 7 times 3, 7, 14, 21, 21 with $210,000 you put into it, and, 70,000 cash, and then your time per year, 70,000. So basically, that's one common mistake that I know many small businesses right now, and all of you that's listening to the replay or watching us live right now, please do not avoid consulting with that attorney. Now, you don't have to put them on retainer. okay? You don't have to be obligated to do anything, but get the advice that you need so you won't be in the situation that Vladimir was in and have already executed, invested 2 years in, and then having to shut down because we did not consult with professionals. Okay, so now we're starting to get right into it. Now, this is what I'm talking about. We're starting to get into it, guys. So, lesson number one, first of all, make sure you have profit plans, monetization plans, sales plans, and you are a long-term thinker. Those were all so far the lessons that we've had so far. And then lesson number four was make sure you consult with an attorney and a professional to really give you that guidance and things. So, Vladimir, from your experience, right? We know that the marketing is one of the major issues that you faced in trying to really grow your business. If you can do it all, what would you have done differently?
So if I can do it all, the thing that I would have done differently, and this is kind of, repetitive, it's essentially just learn how to market to strangers, to be honest with you, because those are the people that, if you get that right, if you can present your marketing to someone that is not a warm audience, and that person can make small commitments with you, leading to a bigger commitment, and you can learn how to do that profitably, then essentially you are in a position to be in business. So let me just give you an example. Let's just say that you selling your service and the price point that you're selling your service for, so $500. Well, if you could learn how to run a marketing campaign and pay about $100 or maybe even $200 for that marketing campaign, and that marketing campaign returns to you a $500 client, well, now all of a sudden you know how to go out and spend money on marketing and get a return on investment. I think that's one of the most powerful things that I've learned in marketing is just being able to do that profitably, being able to say, hey, I know a series of steps and a series of things that I can go and do and be able to make marketing work for me.
Mm, that's good, Vladimir. So now that goes right into my next question. So where would they start? So, when I first started my company, marketing was a challenge. Like, it was hard. Like you have to do call to actions and then times have drastically changed since I started my company 10 years ago. So right now, basically, where would you advise a startup business go to learn how to market their business? Because I'm seeing them invest into multiple coaches. I'm talking about a copywriting coach, a funnel coach, a sales coach, lead generation coach, click funnels coach. I'm not lying. Okay. All right. Publishing a book coach, writing set, so where do they start?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So one of the main things that I think they have to ask themselves is, who do they want to be? So I'm going to use myself as an example because at some point when I no longer had my dating site, I had obtained the knowledge and or an expertise. Now, granted, when I first lost my site, I was only maybe about 7 or 8 months into learning how to do lead generation and marketing. Nonetheless, I still had obtained that skill set. And after I obtained that skill set, I noticed that in my local area that people were using meetups and workshops as a way to share their knowledge and to share their expertise. So I said to myself, you know what, I've acquired some knowledge and some expertise, and I wonder if the knowledge and the expertise I acquired, if it could be beneficial to other businesses. I had learned how to do it for dating, and I said, I wonder if the skill set could be transferred to other businesses. So I started to host workshops so that way I can do a couple of different things. Thing number one, I wanted to validate the concept, and then thing number two, I thought to myself, maybe I can one day turn that into a business. So for about 2 years or so, I hosted workshops, and I hosted close to 60 workshops. And when I was hosting those workshops, I had a challenge, and the challenge that I had is that maybe about a year into hosting those workshops, I had heard or I had been introduced to the concept that an individual could use their knowledge and their expertise and they could launch a coaching program and they can go ahead and charge, in my case, a couple of $1,000s for a coaching program. Well, I knew that that was possible, right? I just didn't know from an execution standpoint how to execute it. So my main problem was, how do I take my knowledge and my expertise and how do I turn that into an online coaching program and how do I be able to market that? So knowing that that was the problem that I was looking to solve, I simply sought after an individual that had gone down that exact same path, and that had solved that problem for themselves, and they also had solved those problems for other individuals as well. So then I plugged in with that individual, and after plugging in with that individual, that person taught me the model and allowed me to save a lot of time, money, and resources. So I didn't necessarily have to go and try to plug into all of those different resources. I went to a one-stop shop, and that one-stop shop was able to um, give me the skill set, the knowledge, the expertise that I need to be able to launch confidently. So that's the same thing that I would say for an individual. I would say, hey, identify what your problem is. I think we need to, first of all, start off by just being honest with ourselves and saying, okay, what is my true problem that I'm having? Right? Once you know that, and once you can assess what that true problem is that you're having, the next question that you have to be able to ask yourself is, do I want to be do I want to use YouTube University? Meaning that, do you want to spend the next couple of years on YouTube and to try to figure it out via YouTube? Do you want to piecemeal? Meaning that, do you want to just buy a whole bunch of different, maybe like $27 courses for the next couple of years to try to piece those things together? Because that exists as well, and that was one of the ways that I tried to solve the problem. Or do you want to say, you know what, this individual has gone down that path. This individual has a system, a process, a methodology. So I'm going to go ahead and just trust in this person and invest in this person, allow this individual to take me down the path. So that is one of the that's the way that I would answer that question, and that's the path that I would go down.
I like that you said that was simply because just basically finding one coach, one expert that you would like to somewhat resemble their success from, and then learning from them. And I like that method because it allows you to stay focused within that time frame. When you have more, what I've seen, because I actually hold my clients accountable in situations like this, I've seen where a client of mine will have multiple coaches and then they end up getting shell shocked and unable to execute because it's just so much information. But when I compare them to the person that takes one coaching program 6 months from now, execute on that, then take another program, a year after, 2 years after, based on the growth and the development that they need, they're much more successful than the latter, of the person that's all over the place. And I totally agree with the mere fact that you want to actually figure out what type of lifestyle, what does that look like for you? And you guys, you shouldn't be literally all over the place. That's just like coming and getting tax advice from me and then going somewhere and getting somewhat the same tax advice, but they're stretching it. They're taking it too far. They're not showing you the nooks and crannies or how to protect yourself if you were to get audited. They're just giving you the pie, basically. So in that case, what happens? You got advice from me, you got advice from them, you execute it, and guess what? You don't know how to back up none of that stuff because they didn't teach you what I teach you in terms of backing up your expenses and so forth. So Vladimir is right. You want to find that one person, and you don't have to stick. And then honestly, guys, you shouldn't stick with a coach for multiple years. Like you should see some ROI and some type of growth where so you end up growing out of the program your coach had you in or that level that person. So let's say, for example, I hire Vladimir to do, my marketing. Once he gets me to a certain income level, or once I implement my systems and stuff, then my team more than likely can now take it in-house and just replicate the process. Or once I make a certain amount, right? He might even say, because that's what bomb coaches do. All right, Folasade, so you've already exceeded what I normally work with a client. So I advise you to go now work with my coach because you're now on a level where I'm at and your knowledge is just as great as mine. So you guys, so this is where you have to find those individuals that really care about you as a small business owner rather than them getting rich and, having that PayPal notifications and all of that stuff popping off. You want to judge a person not only off their success, guys, but the success of their clients and the success that they're putting out there. So I don't know about you, Vladimir, because we were short with time, did you need a break or could we just continue rolling on and taking advantage of all of the time that we have?
Oh, I don't need a break. I'm good. We can continue.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so Vladimir, in your particular case, let's use me for example. I just started my business. hypothetical. This is not me now. I started my business, and I want to come on as an online accountant, right? And I found you. I said, okay, let me reach out to Vladimir and see what he can possibly do for me. What would you initially do? We have our consult. If I was your client, what would be the first thing that you tell me to do?
Um, so one of the first things I would find out from you, I would find out from you, how are you delivering what it is that you're delivering now? So I'm hearing the word coach. I'm not sure if you have a coaching package and or a coaching program, or if you have a done for you. So I would figure out the deliverables. So on the deliverables, because the deliverables sometimes determines what the sales process is. So let's just say if you have a done for you type service, and in order for you to successfully work with people, you need to have a conversation with the people who's the right fit for you. It requires you to have a conversation with those individuals. So then once we find that out, it's just a matter of just reverse engineering a process. Now, I know I talked about friends and family earlier, and I talked about that that's not necessarily a long-term viable plan. But honestly, I would find out if you have already exhausted, that option. And if you haven't exhausted that option, I would tell you, because at the same time, even though that's not a long-term plan, but those are low-hanging fruits, right? So if you haven't exhausted your low-hanging fruits, let's put together a series of pieces of content for the next couple of days that's going to encourage those individuals to either get in your inbox or to schedule a time with you. And one of the ways that we would do that is we would just do that with content. So I really believe in just kind of just maximizing and optimizing that. So we'll create a plan to be able to allow you to get people on the phone if that's part of your process, to be able to convert individuals. And once we maximize and we optimize that and we see that works, then it's just a matter of saying, okay, do you want to create a more organic plan? Personally, an organic plan that's outside of your friends and family. And an organic plan that's outside of your friends and family could include you getting on shows, could include you getting on podcasts and that type of. So I have a strategy that I help my clients with implementing, that, other shows, on other podcasts, and then from there we would look at the paid marketing component. The paid marketing component does come later in the process, once we've optimized and once we have maximized the low hanging fruits and then the organic methodologies.
You know what? So guys, so now he's telling you right now, if you don't have your products, your services, what you're going to be offering to the public, it's nothing that you can possibly do yet. So you do need those plans ahead of time when you're starting that business. What are you going to be offering? Are you going to, like you said, a done for you program? Are you going to do a coaching program? Are you going to do a DIY program? What are those things? Like, honestly, I see people that are in business, and this is when you know an entrepreneur isn't making money, is when after 2-3 years in it, they're still trying to figure out what to offer and what to bring to the market and stuff. Like, yes, we kind of get, sometimes that confusion, or, we've already put enough out, we're uncertain of the market. But I've seen so many people get stuck on that first step that you said. What are you going to be offering to the market? What are you offering? And so, guys, this is the thing. Many of you probably have, read books and, you know, watch every YouTube program on how to find your why and what programs to offer. Sometimes, guys, it requires you to retain a certain someone that can really ask you the core questions that you need to bring out what possible services and products and things that you will be offering to the market. And is that something that you actually do throughout the process, Vladimir, or they need to come to you completely ready?
Well, not necessarily. They don't necessarily have to come to me completely ready, because in the development process, I can help them with the development process. So, the development process can mean that, hey, I'm an accountant, and these are the type of group of individuals I want to go ahead and serve. And this is why I want to be able to serve those group of individuals. And this is why I want to do it for a certain period of time. And this is why I want to create a certain level of division. And this is why I want to create a certain level of specificity, and because that division and that specificity, helps from a marketing standpoint. One of the things that makes marketing very successful is you have to be able to attract, but at the same time, you have to be able to, to repel. So in developing that, sometimes we develop that specificity we develop that messaging, we develop that, that pain point. And from that, we come up with you probably already know what your core product is, but from that we know what your core product is, and we develop, a sales process around it. So that is something that I had to, figure out on my own, because at one point I was charging almost nothing for what it is that I do. And then eventually, once I worked with the right people, I was able to, to monetize, not only monetize, but create core products and core services. So that is certainly something that I can help people to replicate as well, because I had to go through it on my own.
Yeah, and you know what? You said something that hit home for me. Your core product based on like I wanted to completely let go of tax prep. I wanted to completely let go of all of the done for you service. I'm serious, Vitamin. I literally, when I shifted and transitioned my business in 2016, I wanted to let it all go and just teach online, but it was impossible because the long term plan was I see them online, I talk with, I do my live streams, my content, and then I do the call with them, right? And then if I have a program or service, yeah, they can do that. But the end all be all is me actually doing the taxes for them, because if it's done correctly, then they can implement all of the tax strategies and everything that I've taught them. So I had to readjust and kind of slap myself in the face and say, "Get real, chick. You cannot just not be a bookkeeper." Like you, so they understanding that, and then I had to get comfortable with it. And then now, so like me and my team are starting to like put together like little packages. I told Leo we'll put like together like a cleanup package for the market. So incorporating my done for you services to the market in a way that they're used to buying other services is now the trick that I'm trying to incorporate it. Taking basic accounting services, packaging it up like a coaching program, but I'm doing the work for them. So that's where I'm stuck at now, Vladimir. So it's so funny that you said that about the core product and then deviating and going to the low hanging fruit. Okay, so I think we got a few minutes left. So can you tell the audience if this was your last 60 seconds, and you had to give the best advice, your TEDx talk, your best advice, what would you give my audience today about being in the startup phase, monetizing, scaling, making money? What would you want to leave the audience with?
Yeah, so to summarize it, essentially, at the end of the day, business is, is pretty simple, but it's not easy, right? So from a simplicity standpoint, our goal is that we want to be able to create awareness. So awareness is basically allowing more people to know about you that don't currently know about you. So it's basically getting attention, and then after you get the attention from the individual, giving them the ability to take the next step with you. So that is when someone becomes a lead. They say, hey, you know what, based on what it is that you offer, I want to know more, right? And then after those individuals become a lead, and it's you just making these people an offer that's going to allow you to provide value, and from a sustainability standpoint, an offer that's going to allow you to be sustained. So if you can consistently get attention, get in front of the right type of individuals, you can go ahead and generate interest, generate a lead, and then make those individuals an offer so that way they can convert and take the next step with you, whether it be they're converting via phone call or they're converting via webinar or something along those lines. That's the simplicity of it. Get attention, get a lead, make an offer, and convert.
And rinse it and do it all over again, huh? And
Yep.
it's so funny. I think that's why so many people understate the part where you said it's not going to be easy. It's simple, but it's not going to be easy. Like those steps sound so easy, well, so simple, but executing on them may not necessarily be as easy, or getting the exact plan of it. I think that's where so many startups crumble. They're like, I've done this 8 times and it's still not right. Okay, do it 15 more times and it might be right. Do they have that perseverance to do something continuously over and over without getting the result that they desire at the moment, but perfecting it so they can get the end result? So this is that mindset, guys, of not quitting and just going for what you know that you want out of everything. And then, so my last 2 words for you: how have accounting and accountability impacted your perseverance and your bottom line?
All right, so accountability is huge, because from an accountability standpoint, I have to be accountable to certain processes. And if I'm not accountable to certain processes, I won't necessarily grow. And from an accounting standpoint, I've been in positions where I had to, owe the IRS because I wasn't necessarily doing things, the right way. And, one of the jokes that my parents, I'm of Haitian descent, my mom used to tell me all of the time growing up is when I didn't do things that were the right thing to do, she used to always tell me, hey, I'm going to ship you back. I'm going to ship you back to Haiti. And that was one of the continuous things that she would tell me if I wasn't consistent in my behavior. And one of the things that rings to my mind, this day, even though I'm a citizen as well, is that I want to make sure that I do things right from an accounting standpoint, so that way I don't end up back in Haiti or behind bars or anything along those lines. So that's the connection that I make when I think about accounting and when I think about accountability.
Oh wow, man! I didn't even think about that. And guys, for all my foreigners, don't forget, if you're over $50,000, they can snatch your passport and everything, guys. So yes, Vladimir, so funny. So guys, do me one favor: head over to Instagram and follow Vladimir on Instagram. His Instagram is Vladimir Adonis 3 on Instagram. Head over, follow him, message him, tell him Folasade sent you. And guys, think about this: if you're stuck in the execution phase of making money, meaning you're like, okay, I have these products, I have these services, but I don't know how to attract clients. I don't know how to bring that awareness. I don't know where to even begin, right? Then this is the time that you need to ask yourself, then those one-off coaching programs, DIY things may not work in your favor at that point because you're completely stuck. You need someone to handhold you and ask you those core questions so they can now interpret it like a therapist. I always sound like our therapist. And interpret it and tell you exactly what you're saying and kind of give you that core direction. So don't hesitate that if you're feeling that block to now invest into someone like Vladimir so he can pull out your greatness and then give you the processes and help you execute on that, because sales can make or break your business. Like, one thing is, so most of you may think, okay, I can make millions of dollars and I'm good. Yes, you can, but is that sustainable? Do you have the processes internally to sustain the $1 million for clients? Do you have the sales force to even acquire and attract that? So literally, when we say it's easy to make money, it is easy, it is simple, but it all requires processes, systems, accounting, accountability, and a team of your own. So guys, head over on Instagram, follow Vladimir. Vladimir, can you tell them your web address and everything else where they can find you?
Yeah, so my web address essentially just offers a freebie, and essentially what it does is that it gives you the ability to create a marketing process that's optimized, and that could be found at Vlad Adonis, VLADADONIS.com, where you can go ahead and gain access to that free resource that's going to help you to look at marketing from an optimization standpoint. And if you currently have a marketing process, it's going to show you, how to optimize it, so that way you're not leaving coins on the table.
A lot of coins, guys. We're going to 2022, be right around the corner, and you're going to be thinking about those coins you left on the table. So let's not do that. Make those changes, make those investments, and let's dominate 2021. Vladimir, thank you so much for joining me. I apologize again for the technical difficulties and then also having to reschedule, but I appreciate your grace and the amazing show that we had tonight. Thank you so much for joining me. Guys, don't forget, follow him on Instagram, and don't forget to tune in next week, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, same place. And check out the replay on all of the places where podcasts are being housed. And don't forget, join our mailing list by going to bit.ly/TMZ. Get notified so you can find out when we're having other amazing guests like Vladimir coming on the show, guys. Have a good night, guys.
Thanks again, Folasade, for having me.
Yes, thank you, Vladimir.